Okay, so let's do practice quiz 2, number 1. It says for the R code below, graph the histogram that this R code would generate. So you need to graph it by hand. So here's the R code. So we're given this weights vector, and we have to do a histogram of the weights with these breaks and these other features. So let's make a table. So I got this table. From the breaks, so here's the breaks here. So it's 100 to 110. So that's going to be my first bin, 100 to 110. Next bin would be 110 to 130. Then 130 to 145. Then from 145 to 170. Then from 170 to 200. And then lastly, from 200 to 240. And then how I got the frequency in the first one. So here's my weights up here. It's looking at the weights, the numbers between 100 and 110. So let's do like just 110 here. So 1. The next bin would be 110 to 130. Strictly bigger than 110, so it'd be 115, 115, all the way to 128, including 130. So counting those would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. That's how I got that. The n value here, right here. So note n. That's number of numbers in our weights vector. So if you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so the length of the first one would be 110 minus 100. So it'd be 10. Then the next one would be 130 minus 110. So I got 20 here, and so forth all the way down. So then the height of the first bin will be the frequency, so it's going to be 1 divided by the n, which is 22, times the length, 10. The next one would be frequency 5 over 22 times 20, and so forth all the way down. So now let's find the LCM for these fractions. So let's do that. So here's all the denominators of the fractions. So let's do the prime factors of these guys. So it'll be 22, 10, this will be 2, 11, this will be 2 and 5, so it'll be 2, 11, 2, 5 for that one. This will break down as 22 and 20, so it'll be 2 and 11, this will be 4 and 5, this is 2 and 2, so it's 2 times 11 times 2 times 2 times 5. 2 there. This is 22 and 15. This is 2 and 11, 5 and 3. Those are prime factors. This is 22 and 25. This is 2 and 11, 5 and 5. So those are prime factors. This is 22 and 30. This is 2 and 11, 6 and 5. 6 breaks down then as 2 and 3. So it's 2 times 11 times 2 times 3 times 5. And last one be 22 and 40, 2 and 11, 8 and 5, 2 and 4, and then 2, oops, running space there, 4 is 2 and 2 there. So the prime factors will be these, and the 5 over here. Okay, so the LCM then. Well, this has 2 2's, so it'll be 2 squared. It has a 5 and 11. This has 3 2's, a 5 and 11, so we need 3 2's. So the first two are taken care of. This has a 2, 11, and a 5, and a 3. We're missing a 3. This has 2, 11, 5, and 5, so I need 2 5's, so I need to put a square on that one. Over here, this has 2 2's, 3, 5, 11, and 5. We got everything there. This has 1, 2, 3, 4 2's. So let's be 4 up here. Okay, so it looks like this is it then. So 2 to the 4th is 16. And this is 25, 11 times 3. If you multiply this out in your calculator, let you check, it's 13,200. Okay, so let's keep going. So my LCM is 13,200. So the first fraction is 22 times 10. So you can check that's 22 times 10 is 220. So you're going to divide 13,200 by 220. By 220. So it's 60. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 60, the first guy. So doing that, we get then, so multiplying top and bottom by 60. So the bottom is going to be 13,200 by design. 60 times 1 is 60. Moving on to the next one. This is 22 times 20. So it's going to be basically 22 times 10 and 22 times 20. This is twice as big. So we're going to multiply, looks like top and bottom by 30. You can check. So multiply top and bottom by 30, we get, so it'll be 5 times 30 over 30 times this down here. So 5 times 30 will be 150. So it'll be 150 over 13,200. Then doing next one, it's going to be then 22 times 15 divided into 13,200. And let you check that that's equal to, let's multiply by 40 top and bottom, because 22 times 15 times 40 would make the LCM. So it's going to become 80 over 13,200. Then I'll just give you the rest and you can check. Okay, so for the rest, and then so for bin 4, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 24. 3 times 24 is 72. Bin 5, we're going to multiply top and bottom by 20 to make the LCM. So it's going to be 60 over LCM. And last one, top and bottom by 15. It's going to be 120 over LCM. Okay, so now let's make the histogram. Okay, so I've wrote my table over here, and the LCM again is 13,200. So I'm writing the denominator as just LCM, just so it's easier to write out. So here's my heights and my bins over here. And here then I have my histogram. So I have my bins down here. I have my heights up here. I'm going by, starting at 60 and going by increments of 10. So it'll be 60 over LCM, 70 over LCM, 80 over LCM, 90 over LCM, 100 over LCM, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150 over LCM. And I have a little squiggly line here because I'm putting the 60 down close to the origin, even though there's more things in there, just so it's easier to graph it here. So therefore the first one's 60. So from 100 to 110 it'll be 60 over LCM. That'll be 150. So that's how I got that one. That'll be 80. So it'll be 60, 70, 80. So here, 80. Then it'll be 72. Well, that's 60, that's 70. That's 80, so it's about there, 72. That's 72. Then 60 here. Then 120. So that's 150, 140, 130, 120 would be about there. That's how I got this. Okay, so now let's keep going. So the R code tells us, come back over here to tell the rectangles should be blue and the main title should be weights. So let's do that. So I'm letting B equal blue, so I'm going to put B for all these. If you want to color, if you have color pencils, you can do that, that's fine. Or you can just write the letter in for the color. So these should be blue. And the main title is weights up here. Okay, let's keep going. So we next have to label the x-axis as different bin sizes and y-axis as density of weights. So let's do that. Okay, so I've labeled the x-axis here, different bin sizes, and label the y-axis density of weights. So we got everything we need now. So we got a histogram, they're blue, they're rectangles. The main title is weights up here. The x-axis different bin sizes, y-axis density of weights. Okay, so we're done with the question. Okay, so let's leave the video here. So we're done.